success of our business teams and will limit your potential for health and success. So these are like propositions. All business problems are people problems. What we don't know about ourselves controls our lives, and what we don't know about the people around us dictates the success of our business teams and will limit your potential for health and success. So we're just kind of adopting those as premises, okay, as propositional truths. And again, the guy that founded this, I mean, he successfully helped navigate over 200 business turnarounds, over 30 years CEO experience working as he developed his Taylor protocols, tools, and the core values index is one of those. And so that's coming kind of from him. So let's dive in here with these 4 core values. So when we talk about these, and I'm glad that you've taken the test. Maybe you've had some time to actually read a little bit of the printout and thing about it, and kind of these 4 core values. But builder, merchant, innovator, and banker. And so let's talk about where they came with these names. In ancient cultures, as humanity began to move from hunting and gathering to agrarian and trade-based economic societies, 4 principal types of business practitioners and social contributors emerged. Okay, and so builders, merchants, innovators, and bankers were 4 primary business practitioners and social contributors that emerged as culture began to evolve, come together, societies began to work together more, forming communities and building up trade-based economies. Interesting to note here in the Wenatchee Valley, the first business around 1872, the first incorporated business in the Wenatchee Valley, anybody know what it was? The Trading Post out in Old Station. Okay? And literally the Miller brothers founded the Trading Post, right? So they were what? Merchants. Merchants are looking on the horizon for new opportunities to establish new relationships, to open up new possibilities. They're visionary, right? And they oftentimes are the storytellers. They know languages of other cultures and things. Why? Because they're building relationships in order to open up new markets and opportunities. And so a trading post, right? They were literally buying and selling and trading with Native Americans who were still in the area and the early settlers who were coming through. And then you had builders, right? Who literally built up companies, businesses, structures, society. So the railroad came through Wenatchee in the early 1900s. And it was brought here by a man named J.J. Hill. Brought the railroad tracks from Minneapolis, St. Paul, all the way to Seattle. And as he laid down tracks, he actually really invested in the communities along the way to build up these towns and communities along the railway. And so the name of the line across the northern United States that's still called this today. Anybody know what the name of that railway line from? Okay, that was a company. What was that?
Empire Builder.
Yeah, the Empire Builder. Literally, his nickname, J.J. Hill's nickname, was the Empire Builder. And it's called the Empire Builder line. So if you jump on Amtrak, go to Spokane, head anywhere east, anywhere, Montana, North Dakota, that's the Empire Builder line of the railway system, right? And he was a builder, right? Infrastructure, literally constructing things, right? Well, what that did, that opened up all kinds of new opportunities and markets. Now we've got pelts, we've got grain. We find out, hey, fruit actually grows really well here. And so now we have a way to ship and move those products across these rail lines. So literally societies and a town is beginning to be built up, structures, more businesses, the railways coming through. That's opening up all kinds of new possibilities to take the products and things from this area and expand business. Well, then you got your innovators, right? And we come here and you go, how can we get this water? There's this river here. How can we get this water to places where we can, water the ground and grow more and better products, right? And so one of the first systems that got designed in the Wenatchee Valley was the irrigation system, right? The irrigation ditches. And we got to innovate. How can we, build bridges and design things and solve problems and think through that? And when we think about bankers, I'm just giving you an example right here of how the Wenatchee Valley community, I kind of a little bit of a geek about local history, right? And you see the way these contributions and businesses actually helped in our little town where we happen to live right now come into being. Okay, I see how that kind of begins to work. When you think about the dams that we put in here, years and years ago, it took all 3, right? Someone had the vision, a merchant vision, had relationships and vision. What if we did this and could do this? And they had the networking ability. People back east, Washington, D.C. and others, we're gonna put a dam on the Columbia River. And the builder's like, yeah, let's do it. You know what I mean? We're gonna stop the river and pour in concrete and build a dam, right? And it's gonna harness the power of water and create electricity. And people, they think about the innovation that has to go into that, all the different engineering processes and systems for converting from a dam to the turbines and everything to get electricity and move it and store it and figure all that out. Tons of building and innovation going on there. But there was a vision, the merchant had. But then, right, there were also bankers involved who were thinking long term and establishing these contracts so that what's produced from that dam would benefit this community and conserve and harness the power of that precious resource of cheap electricity for years and years and years to come. Right? Long range thinking, the contracts that they established, getting the contracts with like Alcoa to bring them in, right? And so they established these 50-year contracts, which were brilliant, right? Which actually have served to really pour resources and benefit into the local community because bankers are thinking long-term results, preservation, okay? So that's one example just to show the way that these business practitioner types and the different contribution. Another way to think about these, this literally a core energy. This is when we look at this, each of us has this unique capacity to bring primarily some juice of one of these. That's kind of your core, and we all again have a unique recipe. But you literally bring the presence or the energy or the power, the capacity of one of these to the relationships team and goals that you're a part of, right? And so we'll talk about what the core value is attached to each of these in just a moment. But another way to think of it in terms of another just kind of analogy. So does that make sense so far a little bit? Just kind of getting our feet wet here, moving in. The builder would shoot the elephant and bring it back to camp. The merchant is going to wow everybody around the fire, telling the stories of the adventure, of what went down and how it happened, already thinking about the next possible hunt we could go on. We'll go over there. I heard there's some really big elephants there. It's going to be amazing. The builder's like, let's go, ready to jump out and do it. The merchant's telling the story and seeing the vision. The innovator's already like making a better weapon and like a trap. Like we can get more elephants this time. Or wow, this will be even better, sharper thing. Like innovating better tools and weapons to help that society and that community thrive. And the banker is out there banking the fire, making sure the coals are ready and enough wood's there. We have enough supplies for the long haul to make it through winter and how we're going to preserve what's there, right? So the banker's thinking conservation long term. Okay, so that's another little just analogy story to see how these kind of work together. So let's talk about what the core value is then attached with each of these. And by the way, I mean, if you're taking notes or you want to take notes as we get into this, this is how I'm going to talk about it. It's how we just draw, square 4 quadrants and fill it in with little information about each. And obviously, you're thinking about the ones that is your highest here. So I talk about it in this order. Now, you'll see why as we go in terms of the intentionality here. But builder, merchant, innovator, banker. So just kind of think of a little horseshoe. That's how we'll talk about these and walk through these, okay? So the core value of a builder is power. And by the way, think of all of these in terms of the positive sense and positive contribution of each of these, okay? And when we say power, what that means is builders, they have that personal energy to get things done, to move the ball forward. Builders are action and results oriented. Short-term action, decide and do. They bring personal energy to move the ball forward. They like actions, decisions, results. They can work independently as long as the ball's moving forward. And again, we'll talk about kind of the dark side of each of these as we go as well. But just for now, we'll stick with the positive aspect of it. Okay, so it's personal energy, strength to get things done. When a primary, someone's got a lot of juice of a builder shows up comes in the room, there's a sense of like the power meter just went up. Like there's this energy, this angst to like get things done. When you encounter an obstacle, if you're a high builder, like you will jump the wall, break through the wall, you will figure it out. You're going to move forward one way or another. You want to move the chains, keep moving. So at some point, builders like, yeah, I got it. Let's go. Let's move on. Let's get on with it. Let's get something done. We need to get something done. We got to see results, action, move the ball forward. Okay, so it's personal energy to get things done, to make a positive contribution and difference to help the ball move forward. That's builder. That's the core value of power. Just curious, anybody here who's got the primary, your highest one was a builder? Any builders in the room here? Okay, we've got a few, right? And I know Jeff. I don't know where he went off to, but Jeff has definitely got high. He's the builder. Yeah, right. Yeah, he's helped build companies, right? Build it. That's what builders do. Sometimes it's associated with entrepreneurial. There's this thing of like just get it done, move the ball forward. Okay. Okay, merchants. Talk about merchants. The core value is love. And we say love, what we mean by that is the nurturing of the core values of oneself and of others. So merchants are visionary, and they're about vision and relationships. So they're great team builders. And whereas the builders are decide and do, merchants are talk and listen. Okay, and we'll talk about this as well in a moment. Both builders and merchants are very intuitive. They're intuitive. So builders have this sense of like, I know what to do. Let me at it. I know, they have this personal confidence and energy. Like, I know what to do, and we'll figure out what to do next when we get there. Let's just get started. Right? We'll figure out the rest later, but let's move. Okay? Merchants have this really intuitive sense to read people and read the room, right? That's why a lot of times, merchant in sales, right? Anything that's team building, relationship building, vision and relationships are where merchants love to traffic. They think about the possibilities, the opportunities. While builders are short-term action, results-oriented, merchants are long-term vision. They can be dreamers. Okay? They're dreamers. They're seeing the possibilities. They're creative, intuitive, and they very much thrive on the authentic exchange with people and ideas. They love that collaboration. They love the creativity. And they love to bring people along, okay? Relationships, vision, talk, listen, so love is nurturing the core values of others, right? And that's kind of that team builder, and that's where it's like listen to what you say and have ability to connect with people, and then, people want to buy things from them or whatever, right? So it's like merchant, right? Okay, so builder, power, core value, power. When a builder shows up, whoa, there's energy to get things done here. When a merchant shows up, like, ooh, there's more love in the room. There's just a bit more, it's inspirational. Builders, executional. Merchants, inspirational. And I know Corey's not here, so if you watch this video, I love you, Corey. Like, Corey, right? He's watching right now. Is he watching right now? Hey, Corey, love you, man. Me and Corey, we're these merchants. We got to hang together, buddy. So, right? Well, I know Corey, merchant, right? Inspirational guy. High energy, talk, listen, engage, has that intuitive sense, comes naturally, people person, all that stuff. That's the merchant stuff, okay? And again, we have a unique capacity. This is what's so cool, is we're all different, we're all uniquely wired. Literally, this kind of, for some of you that geek out and stuff, the stats of this. Yeah, you bankers, be like, I'm gonna write this down, get all the information. Fact check what you're saying. March Madness, I don't know if there's any basketball fans, like the whole bracket, the 64-team tournament, whatever. Like no one has ever successfully completed a perfect bracket. Right? Like I think Warren Buffett or someone offered like $1 billion to anybody. The first person that ever does it, like no one ever has and no one ever will. The probability is like crazy that you'd actually pick correctly the winners of all this stuff. Like no one's ever done it. Brackets get busted all the time. Well, you chose out of 72 unique pairings of positive tactical and strategic values with no context. And so the reality is it's like 10 octillion to 1 that any two human beings would select the exact same words and come out with the exact same score of this test. It's like even more than like getting a perfect bracket to like actually score the exact same. Now you might end up with the results for a high builder, high merchant, high innovator, high banker, whatever. But in terms of the unique, like you have a unique recipe. You have a unique capacity and ability to bring a certain kind of contribution to the table. And when you show up, there's a sense of there's more power to get things done. There's more love to nurture the others and team and connect. Or innovator, there's more wisdom. We'll talk about the wisdom and innovators here in just a moment. And bankers, knowledge. Power, love, wisdom, and knowledge. These 4 core primary human energies and capacities you bring to the table to help society, team, organizations, units, people come together and move forward and build up and accomplish things together when it's functioning in the giving, good contribution side. We'll talk about the dark side later, right? Staying on the positive though, right? So you have something unique to bring. So that helps us to honor one another in our differences, to understand that, learn things about ourselves, learn things about those we work with. Because, and you might want to write this down, I'll tell you this, all positive relationships result. So again, business problems or people problems. All positive relationships result when we honor the core value of another. And you can learn, by the way, to speak the language of these. If you know you're working with a builder, speak builder to them and they'll be like, you're awesome. Yeah, right? And so all positive relationships result when we honor the core value of another. You're speaking their language. We can learn to do that. We can honor one another and gel in our teams, in our departments, in our relationships. That's why this tool really, I think it's a gift to you, not just to the business and to your personal growth and development satisfaction as an employee, but as a person. And I love this kind of stuff, kind of geek out on it too, get really excited about it. So, innovators. Okay? So, first of all, who are the high merchants in the room? I've heard we've got quite a few here. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I love the room. I feel the love. I feel the love. Yes, very good. And creative. We'll get to that in a minute. The very creativity in this room. Innovators. Okay, let me see. Who, we got some high innovators? Let's talk. Oh, yeah, we got lots of innovators too. Sweet. So, innovators, you guys are wisdom, right? Wisdom, meaning you assess and solve. Innovators are problem solvers. Okay? Innovators are problem solvers. They're strategic thinkers. Here's what innovators do. Innovators ask more questions about something than anybody else. They look at it from every angle. Why? Because they want to make it better. They care. And they're creative thinkers. They have ideas. Innovators are found saying, like, what if? How can we make this better? How can we improve this? What else could we do with this, right? They're assessing and solving. They're problem solvers. They're creative thinkers, right? And they're quite happy to just noodle away by themselves, even independently, working on something, and they're just tweaking out. The thing about innovators, though, if we're not careful, you can take things into just deeper levels of complexity. Okay?
Never do that, Adam.
You're designing something, you're building something, it's more it's not done yet, it's not done yet, it's not done yet. And Jeff comes along, or whoever the builders are coming along, like, hey, we got a deadline, let's go. And you're like, up till 2, 3 in the morning, still trying to make it better. I don't know if that connects at all. You know, tech companies and the same thing, right? So
last 20 years.
Let's go, let's get it done. Hold on, just a couple more fixes. I got it, it's gonna be better, it's gonna be better. Give me more time, just give me 1 more day, 2 more days. Let's get it out the door, right? The problem is, right, so here's how this works. Let me give you a tech example, right? Tech companies, okay? A merchant might come up with an idea for a new product, service, or app. Hey, what if? Oh, we can do this. That's an idea. Get excited about it. New opportunity, new possibility, new niche in the market. Let's do that. Innovator's like, oh, yeah, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Start working on it, cranking it out, right? Build it, tweak it, design it. Well, what happens with innovators is you will keep solving the problem long after the problem's been solved. Right? And a builder comes along and like, okay, we gotta take action, we gotta move this forward, we gotta set a deadline on this thing, right? So you need some of that builder juice to help get it out the door. The problem is, right, if the innovators are innovating to the last minute, you got this product release, you got this new app that's gonna go live, and like we're gonna come on, it's 2 in the morning, finished, okay, execute. Builder's like, get it out the door. If you don't run it through the quality control of the bankers, how many bug fixes are you working on the day it releases? And now everybody's got to re-download it all again. How happy are your customers and your clients when they got to re-download the re-download of the re-download because you're still working on the bug fixes because you didn't run it through the quality control of the bankers, of the detail. Does it actually work? Are the I's dotted or the T's crossed? That's the banker world. Woo! Okay? So you see, is that right? Putting skin on it a little bit in terms of, vision, ideas, processes, strategies, solutions, systems. Innovators are systems and processes people. But there's more wisdom in them. Why? Because they're thinking. They're creative thinkers, so they bring solutions. They bring wisdom. When an innovator rolls up on a project in a team, there's these things like the wisdom meter just went up. There's this ability to solve problems, okay? Bankers, okay? Any high bankers? That was your primary core one? Primary. The primary. I mean your top. We got, okay? The bankers. So, again, core value of knowledge. Bankers read and analyze. Their contribution is information and conservation. They care about the fair and equitable use of the most precious resources, right? Think about what bankers actually do is like taking care of the precious resources and mitigating risk. By the way, let me give you this little thing. Builders are high risk takers. Okay? Merchants, moderate risk. Innovators, low risk. Bankers, no risk. Okay? But their knowledge, they contribute knowledge. They love to work with others because they want all the facts. They want all the data. They want all the information because they want to make the best possible. They bring that knowledge. That's what they contribute. Facts, data, analysis. They read, they analyze. Builders decide and do. Merchants talk and listen. Innovators assess and solve. Bankers read and analyze. Okay. Now you can see how, and what's interesting, by the way, I've peeked at already kind of, so Jeff, Denton, and Corey, it's interesting. Jeff's high builder. Corey's high merchant. Denton's high innovator. You get your core, primary chief leader guys. Look at that, the well-rounded, right? In the primary contribution and capacity and energy of what they bring. And it's like, oh yeah, no wonder you got growing, healthy companies doing well. And then the bankers in there, you can outsource banker or bring along, or you learn, and like Jeff's adapted a lot of that. Again, I don't know, Denton or Corey, I haven't zeroed in on theirs as much yet or whatnot. But that banker thing is there as well. That's where it's like you're building a company, you're going to go somewhere. You're going to get things done, you're going to connect with people, you're going to build a team, you're going to innovate, you're going to solve a problem, design some things, and have some processes and solutions to bring to the table, right? And bankers are going to ensure that like you got cash in the bank, you got reserves, you can weather the bump of the economy, you can weather the storm. Why? Because it's about long-term results. Builders, short-term action. Bankers, long-term results. Merchants, long-term vision, right? Innovators are short-term vision, right? How can we make this better? What's the next step with this thing to move it forward, make it more effective, more efficient? Okay. Core values are power, the builder, and power, love, wisdom, knowledge. Okay, and this isn't, these things sometimes you take it's like this isn't about pigeonholing people, right? It's not actually most helpful to say I'm a this. That's not actually what I would recommend that you do. For me, I have high merchant, right? I scored high in the merchant thing, right? And so I have a capacity to nurture others, to build teams, to dream, to vision, right? We're not saying like you're a this, you're that. Again, you have some of all four of these energies, and you can learn how to shift, being conscious and aware of what's needed now. Because if all you get, again, what you don't know about yourself controls you. If you're a high builder, you're going to approach every situation if you don't know that about yourself, and you don't know that there's other ways of engaging and thinking and contributing, and when it's time for some love, when it's time for some wisdom, if you just try to bring power, what's going to happen? Right? At some point, you're going to run people over. You're not going to be as helpful. What's needed in that moment isn't more power. What's needed is some wisdom. What's needed is some knowledge. So you got to learn to recognize what's needed here. And my natural tendency will be to bring this, but that could be what's not most helpful right now in this situation, this moment. Maybe what's helpful in the situation is if I approach it this way. So I'm learning to focus on areas, secondary or third areas of like shifting to innovator. When do I need to stop and ask 5 more questions before I just bolt forward? Right? Because that's an innovator. I'm going to ask a few more questions. I'm going to think about this a little bit more, assess a little more. But if you're, again, really high innovator, that just comes natural. You can do that all the time. At some point, you got to have that internal clock, or learn to go, all right, that's enough. Time to shift into builder mode, or shift into merchant, or shift into banker mode. I got to quality check this thing. Okay. Okay. So let me just ask at that point, just laying a foundation. Laying a foundation. Again, you're gonna see there's depth, there's layers to this, but we'll be able to keep unpacking. But any questions at this point? Again, if not, that's fine. We'll keep rolling. Any questions yet at this point? Okay, it's just taking it good. All right. Well, so quick look here again on just a quick review of each of these. The builder, right? Just do it. Okay. Core value of power, contribution, action, results, learning style, decide and do. Okay. Merchants, you know who's this? Walt Disney. Dreamer, right? Visionary, right? Core value of love, contributions, vision, relationships, learning style, talk, and listen. Storytellers, creative, okay? That's merchants, Walt Disney storyteller. Innovator, right? Einstein, genius, mad genius. Wisdom, core value wisdom, contribution, assessment, and solutions. Learning style, assess, and solve. And banker. Logical, right? Core value of knowledge, contribution of conservation in information, and learning style, read and analyze. Now, let's talk for a moment. If again you have the 4, if you can even draw the square. Grab a little. Right, just helpful again. Just however you want to do it. Draw. Get your 4. We're going to talk about the 6 different. So the axis is right. You got your vertical, your horizontal, and then you got your diagonals. This marker doesn't work very good. Okay, so you got your so let's talk about these are 6 contribution types. So builders and merchants, okay, the 2 on the top of that square. That's your intuitive type of contribution. Builders and merchants are intuitive, meaning like gut. Okay? So builders have a gut sense of what needs to be done. Merchants have a gut sense of the connections and relationships. Okay? The bottom 2, innovator, banker, is your cognitive. So this vertical axis, you got intuitive at the top, cognitive at the bottom. That's your brain stuff, right? Innovators, they're thinkers. They're thinkers, bankers, cognitive, read, analyze. Okay, so you have your intuitive types, and you got your cognitive types. Top 2, bottom 2. Okay? The right side, the merchants and innovators, that's your creatives. Okay, so on that horizontal axis, the right 2 merchant innovator is your creative. And the left 2 builder, banker, that's practical types. Meaning builders and bankers want to get everything in the box where it should go. Merchants and innovators want to take everything out of the box and see what's there and what we can do with it. Right? You got your creative types and you got your practical types. So if you're a builder, high builder, right? That's going to be intuitive and practical. So there's a gut sense. I just know in my gut what we need to do. And like practical, let's do it. Oh, yeah, don't worry about it. Thanks, buddy. Hey, man. We'll this thing. This is fine. So, right? So intuitive, practical, builder. Merchant, intuitive, creative. Okay? Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, again, yeah. So the vertical, the horizontal, right? Now you can see this. So it's intuitive, cognitive, forgive the writing, creative, practical. Okay? Your builders. So banker is practical thinker. Practical, right? Cognitive in this quadrant. Your innovators are creative thinkers. Right? Again, their minds are certain. They're asking questions. They're looking at it from every possible angle. They're creative, thinking with this, but it's cognitive stuff. Okay? Whereas the merchants are creative, but intuitive. Vision, relationships, and gut sense. Yeah, that would be cool. Or what if? I would go there. That'd be great. Dreamers. Thinkers, dreamers, right? Okay? Now, and then let's talk about the diagonal axis here. Okay, so builder, innovator are your independent workers, right? So again, builders, as long as they're making progress, checking things off the list, moving that ball forward, they're happy. And they may turn around and look and go, oh, where'd everybody go? Well, that's fine. They were just fulfilled, satisfied because we're getting stuff done. Getting crap done today. This is great. Great day. How was your day? It was great. I checked things off the list. I got stuff done, right? Did you talk to anybody? Nope. Did it matter? Nope.
That was the best part.
Totally. That was great. Right? Same thing with innovators, though. They're quite happy to sit in their corner and innovate. Back in the office, cranking away. Anybody seen so-and-so for a while? Nope. What are they doing? I don't know, but they're coming up with cool stuff. Happy as a clam, just, oh man, geeking out on this thing, making it better, you know. Okay, so that's your independent, right? Independent. Merchants and bankers are your communal types, right? I mean, a merchant's got to have somebody to tell his story to. He's got to have somebody to cast his vision to. He may have the idea, but other people are going to get it done, right? Those merchants, it's like, you know, hey, they love to start things. Do they finish anything? Great starters, not always great finishers, right? Because it's like, squirrel, you know, new idea, fun, like, hey, we can go over there, we can go over there. It's like, stay on task. The builders and makers are like, there goes so-and-so, right? But communal, right? Love to bring people with them. So I'll give you another little river story analogy I think of all the time. We come to a river, the merchant's going to be like, hey, let's cross the river. We could go over there. And he's going to try to convince everybody, cast that vision, tell them, let's go, right? He's going to, man, when a merchant says, hey, you want to go to the beach Friday night? Like, he's going to get 20, 30, 40 people to go with him. Just intuitive. That thing was just natural. It's like, let's go. He's going to try to cast that vision, build a team, get ready. Here we go. The builder's already out in the water. Or he's got his boots, all right, already moving, like, I got it. You know, when you put the idea on the table, like, let's do it. The innovator is looking around, like, can we build a raft? Or where's the best place to cross? Right? Like, stepping back, thinking, being creative. We can cross there, we can cross there. Or we see, look around, what's around? Some trees, knock those down, create a raft. Like, builder's already out in the water. You know, merchant's still convincing everybody to go. Innovator's looking at the best way. The innovator will go, gets across the river, and it's like, hey, if we do that again, I got an idea how we can do it faster, better, right? And the banker is going to be sitting there going, why are we doing this again? Why are we crossing the river in the first place? And does anybody care about the alligators in the river, the waterfall right over there? Anybody stop to think about that? Right? And by the way, do we have, I mean, dry clothes? We're going to get wet. Anybody bring dry clothes? I did. Anybody bring food for a longer journey? I did. So I don't know what game all you builders, merchants, and innovators are playing, but I'll go let you guys cross the river, and I'll just be here to preserve society. When all you die and drown, I'll still be here. I'll outlast you all. Bankers outlast. Security, mitigate, no risk. Preserve, conserve the most precious resources. Why are we doing this again? Right? That's going to be a question of bankers now. Okay? So, but, community. You say, banker, okay, well, bankers love to partner with other individuals, organizations, because they want to gather all of the pertinent data and information. What information do you have? I need it so we can make the best possible decision for the greatest good for the most people. I want it to be fair, I want it to be just, I want it to be equitable. And so I need all that data. So I'm going to partner together to get data, information, more to read, more to analyze, and that's going to give us the best long-term, security and result. Okay? So bankers want to cooperate and connect and work with others to have that, gather that data, share that data, analyze that data. What'd you see? What'd you get? What'd you see? What'd you get? Oh, I got this too. Okay, great. Well, And merchants, they're wanting to build teams and rally, a crowd and go have fun, Whereas innovators and builders, as long as they're getting stuff done, it's like, where'd they go? Where is it? It's up there, just knocking it out, cranking it out, thinking about it. Okay, so those are the 6 contribution types. Okay, you got intuitive, cognitive. So gut sense, builder, merchant. Cognitive, head stuff, innovator, banker. Your creatives, that's your merchants and your innovators. Right? So here's what I was thinking. I don't know, what's the tagline or one of the kind of business taglines for Firefly? Does it have kind of like a business slogan or tagline?
Light your future.
What's that?
Light your future is one word.
Light your future? So I mean, again, there's merchant stuff in that, right? This idea of future, vision. Because here's what I was thinking, like, computer company and whatnot. I was like, creative solutions. Right? You hear that? I hear that kind of language a lot of times. I look at computer companies, tech companies. We want to solve your problem. We're bringing creative solutions to this kind of thing, right? And it's like merchant. There's a lot of merchant innovator juice in the room, right? And that's what that is. Like, wow, you're creatives. Got this, growing companies going. It's creative thinking, creative ideas, but it's solution oriented, right? You're bringing solutions to real problems, assessing, solving, product systems, processes, right? Create a lot of creative solution stuff going on. Okay, so your creatives, so intuitive, cognitive, creative, practical, independent, community. Okay, so when you think of for example, my uncle's built a very successful company, started a company in his 20s out of his garage in the Tri-Cities area. now employs, a couple thousand people, does $500 million a year, has multiple different companies, all the Western United States, national projects and things, mechanical contracting, doing big stuff, working for, what's his name? Tesla, right? Elon Musk and Tesla and Facebook and Yahoo and Intuit and data centers and hospitals and schools, and he's doing mechanical, they're getting the robotics, they're doing government contracts and stuff, doing things on embassies around the world, and he's just built this company, right? And people look and go, man, he must be just super, high risk taker, entrepreneurial, started this company, started this business out of his garage. He can also clearly, build a team and cast a vision. He's got a lot of merchant juice as well, right? But actually, I was talking with my cousin, and they built this company. Their tagline, by the way, is "We build people who build great things." Right? The idea, again, all business problems are people problems. We build people who build great things. So what's our business? Well, our business is building things, construction company, mechanical, doing that, right, in that industry. But we're actually developing and building people. We're honoring the differences, recognizing what's the contribution you bring, optimizing your contribution, getting you in the sweet spot, helping you maximize who you are and what you bring. And as you get happy and fulfilled and satisfied in the sweet spot and are fulfilled in what you do, we're all going to thrive and do better together. We build people who build great things, right? And so he says, man, is he high risk? I'm talking to my cousin. It's actually, he actually never shows up on the field of battle without knowing he's already won. And he's already been up earlier than his competition. He's read more than his competition. He's drilled down on the facts. He's drilled down on the data, on the information. He hasn't grown his, I don't need these right now. I'm holding on to those. He hasn't built his company just reaching for that next step of growth by his fingertips. Barely get in, woo, made it, high risk, woohoo! No, he's actually said, we've never taken a step unless I can put my foot right in the middle of the next step and put all my weight and form, plant and pull up and know we can make it. And so it's actually a very healthy company, very strong company, because a lot of banks are deep pockets, we could weather economy downturning, we'll be here. So high builder stuff, we're going to build, we're going to move, we're going to make things, build things, get things done. Building a team, developing people, coming up with processes and solutions and doing that. But we're going to conserve resources, we're going to drill down. And so he's not only built these companies, he actually also owns a bank. Bank, a couple restaurants, got businesses and doing well, into lots of things. But it's builder banker stuff is there, right? He's got resources in the bank, so he's not running fast and loose and crazy. So is he high risk or low risk? Well, so if you have a lot of builder, if you have a lot of banker, it's it takes risk, but it's actually, he's drilled down. He's drilled down on the dollars and the cents and the details and the quality control here, and it's strong, and it's stable, and it's secure. So what you have something that's grown big, little by little, over time, over years, that's built and developed a lot of the people, got them in their sweet spot, designed some really, really cool stuff. They have designed to build solutions in-house, self-performing, and all kinds of things that they do. But they're actually a really stable, solid, strong company, and they've been able to take advantage of opportunities when they've come to buy out other companies, to acquire other things, and move forward, right? Because they've managed those resources and they've paid attention to the details as well. Okay, so 6 contribution types, 4 primary core values. Okay, now we can move into what's next on here. Another level, but we're getting close to maybe taking a break.
Yeah, we could probably, maybe 10 more minutes, 10, 15.
Okay.
Or whatever fits.
Yep. So any questions on this so far? Because I'm gonna give you another layer to this onion. Okay. So this may feel like drinking from a fire hose this morning, even if you've done some reading on it, right? I'm telling you, there's some depth to this particular tool, and I think the more I talk, the more you see. Okay. And then I want to leave time for Q&A, and I love specific examples, and in terms of and I'll show you my scores here too, and we can talk about some of this stuff. But if you have questions about how that works out, where you scored, and whatnot, we can totally chop that up. I love doing that. Okay. But let's go to the next level a little bit, and then after the break, maybe we'll do the negative, dark side. That's always fun, right? Some of the conflict, right? You can see though the potential, right? There's these great contributions when it's all working together. You go, whoa, that's exciting. You need all 4 of those contributions to really be, strong and to succeed. But we'll talk about the potential for conflict within them. You can maybe already start to make some of those connections in your mind. When you've got short-term action and long-term vision, there's the potential for conflict. Right? When you've got short-term action, move it out, and you've got this greater complexity, and we want simple, we want complex. Ooh, there's the potential for conflict. Okay, So we got to be aware of that. Okay? We'll get to that in a moment. Let's talk. Now I'm going to give you another layer. Okay? So for builder, each of these core values has what we call a catalyst. Okay? Has what we call a catalyst. And we'll talk a little bit about the conflict here too as we hit these. We'll do it quick. We'll come back more to it maybe. So for the builder, the core value again is what? Power. And that's personal energy to get things done. Move the ball forward. It's catalyzed by faith. When I say faith, that means like a personal confidence, right? There's that sense. Again, this kind of the intuitive gut sense that I know what to do next. I know what to do now, and I will know what to do next, right? Remember I said, like, we'll figure it out. We'll figure the next step out. Let's just take this step, because we love the short-term action results. And so as long as there's this personal confidence, this faith, I know what to do now, I will know, I'm sure I'll be able to figure it out. That's a sense of like a personal confidence. It's faith. Okay? As long as there's this catalyst of faith, that power contribution will stay high. But in the absence, so for a builder, when a builder doesn't know what to do and is not sure of what to do next, when that faith wanes, when that confidence wanes, it's like a dimmer switch on that positive contribution of power. It goes down. When a builder loses that sense of personal power to get things done because they're unsure of what to do, they don't have that confidence, they begin to experience anxiety. Right? Every one of us with the core value connected to, there's a catalyst, and in the absence of that catalyst, we'll experience anxiety. When anxiety gives way to full-blown fear, and we're not even conscious of this sometimes. This is stuff that happens, again, innate, internal, subconsciously, right? Hardwired into the real, unchanging nature of you. There's an opposite fear connected to the core value. It's actually that, whatever the core value is, it's the opposite of. So for a builder to be weak or vulnerable or powerless, not know what to do and can't take that next step, like anxiety, fear. So when that catalyst is not present, that confidence faith, the power, right? And that person can shift from, instead of bringing a positive contribution and giving that personal energy for the good of others, will now flip and seek to take, because he's trying to get his or her power back. And can shift into what we call the conflict strategy. And for a builder, that's to intimidate. Right? To intimidate. Because what a builder wants to do is get their power back. They will run you over. They will overpower you. And what they're trying to do is get they're feeling anxious or fearful because they're not sure, maybe that's some of the stuff that's going on underneath that. And so I'll give you the again, one little fun one word for each of these, okay? So builders shout. Okay, builders shout, merchants pout, innovators reroute, and bankers back out. Okay? So we'll come back around to those, right? Okay, so builder, again, this energy to get things done. And when we're not sure, and there's not that dimmer switch, anxiety rises, and they can move into the conflict strategy of to intimidate, bully, be harsh. They can come across as rude, arrogant. You kind of bull in a china shop. You can run people over. You can be curt and short, and like, because you're trying to get power back, and you're feeling actually weak and vulnerable, and like you don't have power. You're not sure what to do. That personal confidence is lower, and so massive energy drain, energy dump. Right now, how does that affect your performance on the job, your attitude at work, what you contribute, right? When you're in a place where, as we walk through each of these, right, where it's draining and that catalyst is not present there. But knowing this, hopefully you see how learning this by yourself could make a big difference. The self-awareness, okay? So, the builder, catalyst is faith. The conflict strategy is to intimidate. Merchants, okay? Core value, again, merchants, love, nurturing others, the core values of others, team building, that kind of thing, relationships, vision. They're catalyzed by truth. Okay, catalyzed by truth, meaning merchants, as long as there's an authentic exchange, right? Merchants love real. And merchants see through fake and phony. And they don't do fake and phony well, right? They wear it on their sleeve, right? Again, they're intuitive. They read the room, feel, how are we doing? How are we in relationship? And as long as I know you're being real, you're being authentic with me, you're going to get the love. I'm going to make that positive contribution. I'm going to bring that love. Okay, I'm gonna bring that contribution. I'm going to give. But if you lie to a merchant, if you're not real, if you're not honest, and this is like, whoa, yeah, if there's not truth here, right? Trust goes down. What happens to the love? Right? Dimmer switch. And instead, right, what can happen now can come different ways. The conflict strategy, another word for this, right? I have it written here, manipulation. But here's the word, exaggeration. Merchants exaggerate. Merchants can get a little dramatic. We can be drama kings and queens, right? We exaggerate the case, right? Because we're wanting to get some sympathy, we want to get some love back. Merchants want to win you over. So they'll pout, right? They'll pout. Merchants can read who's sympathetic to my case right now. I'll go talk to them. Right? They have a radar for that intuitive sense of who's going to love me, who's going to encourage me, who's going to listen, who's going to, right? Because if there's not this, they thrive on the authentic exchange with people and ideas. Authentic, real, truth. When that's not present, anxiety. And now it can get to like passive aggressive. Again, what is exaggeration? When I exaggerate the case to try to win you over, to get back in the positive vibe going in the relationship, that kind of exaggeration, I'm actually manipulating the situation. I'm trying to manipulate the emotions of the other person to get what I want or what I feel I need in that moment, because I'm actually feeling like I'm losing that. Right? So the greatest fear of a merchant is to be void of love. Right? To be void of that capacity to like nurture others and give. And so it can turn around, it can be where I take instead of give, because I'm not sure of the truth, which I trust. Am I going to get hurt, right? So merchants, it can get, relationships can go kind of south and then into the negative stuff. It's actually not healthy. And it's a form of exaggeration, manipulation, right? So that's where merchants pout, right? Builders shout, merchants pout. Now you're going to hear merchants as well, right? The builders and merchants, intuitive stuff, they're overt. Overt. Whereas the innovator banker stuff, it's cognitive stuff, it tends to be more covert. We'll talk about this too, we get a little more into the conflict stuff. Okay, overt conflict versus covert conflict. Okay? So catalyst is truth. Conflict strategy is exaggeration, manipulation. Innovators are catalyzed by compassion. Compassion, meaning they've thought a lot about what they're saying to you. They bring wisdom. They're creative thinkers. They thought a lot. If you don't care, if you don't show care about what they're saying, right, that positive contribution of wisdom is going to go down. For them, there's a sense of compassion where they care. That's why they're working hard to make it better, more efficient, because they care about the outcome, the result, and making it better, improving it. Right? They want to solve a problem. Right? They care. And they've thought a lot about it. They've got these ideas, right? And so if that idea, if that contribution is not met with compassion and care, if that's not received and like, wow, weighed carefully, right? That is going to cause an innovator to experience anxiety. That positive contribution, okay? And so the conflict strategy of an innovator is to interrogate. So we had intimidate, we had exaggerate or manipulate, and innovator, interrogate. Meaning, again, they're creative thinkers. They got lots of, well, what about this? Well, you haven't thought about that. Well, have you thought about this? Well, what are we going to do with this? Being an innovator, right, will reroute in a sense of wanting to get wisdom back, control back out of the situation and say, like, I'm valuable here. You should care about what I think. You should care about what I've designed and what I've created and you should care because I've thought a lot about it. And I have wisdom to offer. That's what I value. I want to bring wisdom. If I feel like suddenly I'm perceived or welcomed as wise, like I don't have solutions to offer, like that's something cutting at the core. That could be an energy dump for me. It's like, oh, don't I have solution to bring here? Or the contribution of wisdom? That's what I want to bring. Okay? And so you get to an end of a meeting, the builders and merchants have talked it all out, everything's on the table, we're all good here, everyone's singing good, ready to go. And if an anxious innovator is there that shifts into conflict mode or is experiencing like, hey, I haven't been listened to. My idea hasn't been shown compassion. My solution I brought was kind of brushed off. they can lob a question on the table at the end of the meeting. We're about ready to go out the room. It's like, well, what about this? Brings the whole thing to a grinding halt, right? Nobody else has maybe asked that question that way or thought about it. Why? Because they've got more questions than you. They've thought about it more, right? That's what they do. And that's where they can reroute. And now it's like, oh, now we're back through over here having more conversation, you know, and so, sorry to say it, right, but innovators, right, that get to this place unchecked, the innovator can complicate your life. You're welcome. I'm sorry, you're welcome, right? Right? Complexity. Tend to take things to our complexities. That's where interrogation. What about this? What about this? What about this? Questions. Jam it up. And then, well, we don't know. We haven't thought about that. Please enlighten us. Please bring your wisdom. Ah, that's so good. The innovator. Yes, I have wisdom. That's right. You should listen to me. I've thought a lot about it. Here we go. Okay? And then we'll wrap bankers, take a break. So, core value, knowledge. Bankers catalyzed by justice. Remember, you've heard me say the fair and equitable use of the most precious resources. Bankers care about right and wrong. That's wrong. That's not good. That's not a good use of those resources. No, right? Is it just? Is it right? Is it fair? Is it equitable? When there's a perceived lack of justice in the system, bankers will pull the brake. Bankers will not go like, right? So the conflict strategy that can shift into, again, the anxiety. When there's not justice, a banker begins to feel anxious. Like, this isn't right. Now, they'll be kind of covert, right? It's under the surface. It's cognitive. They're thinking about it. But they'll even get some information. Like, watch what happens here in business situations, department meetings, okay? Because the merchants and builders, they're on the table, right? You got to draw out the innovators and bankers. Are we good with that? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? What do you think? We've got to draw out, because it tends to be more cognitive and covert. And so what can happen oftentimes is you get the meeting after the meeting, which is not healthy, right? That doesn't foster team unity, healthy communication. When you have the meeting after the meeting, the bankers want to get together and share their information. Well, did you hear this? Did you hear this? Did you see what they're doing there? And if you're not careful, when there's that anxiety, if something doesn't seem right here, they can seek out and build a coalition with their knowledge and information and facts and data to back it up. Okay? And their conflict strategy can aloof judgment. Back out. Builders shout. Merchants pout. Innovators reroute. Bankers back out. I don't know what game y'all are playing, but I'm not having into it. I'm just going to outlast. And bankers can lock down. Be stubborn. Now, I'm a high merchant. I'm married to a high banker. And my wife said, you can tell him I'm a banker and use me as a story and example when you're doing your thing there. I was like, thanks, babe. Right? But like, and then literally, so, let me see if I can go through real quick. We'll get, here's mine, okay? And we'll, 27, 21, 15, 9. Okay? 27. And we'll get more into the numbers here in just a moment. We'll take a break, a couple minutes here. So, but my wife's high banker innovator, I'm merchant builder. Like, we always do these things like X marks the spot, right? Like opposites, right? But sometimes opposites attract, right? Why? Because there was something about my wife. I was so stable, safe, secure. And she was so content to just listen to me talk. And she seemed so compassionate and caring, and you know, just had this, I was just like, wow, what's foreign? What is that? I need some of that in my life. Right? That juice that she brings, that capacity, that contribution, that energy that my wife brings, it's like, oh, I need that. But then you get almost 20 years into marriage. And the very thing that drew me and attracted me, right, can also be the thing that just bugs the crap out of me. She's ask more questions, need more information. I don't know. She's like, how was your day? I'm like, it was fine. It was great. How was that meeting? It's fine. Because I'm all talked out, even though I'm merchant, got more words. Like, I've done the people thing all day, and she wants the information, right? You get in a conflict situation, I'm pouting, I'm loud, I'm overt, I'm like, blah, 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 saying all this stuff out here, right? And I can shift even into the builder mode and be loud, right? What's just happened? All my cards are on the table. She's not said a word. Now who's got the power? Now who's got the control? I don't know what she's thinking. And she'll be like, I don't know if I'm ready to talk about this right now. Back out, shut down, start, know how to play the card. Oh, right? There's dynamics there, right, with the interplay between these. You can see how, but we've learned how to recognize that. We're learning how we're using this tool even in our relationship, interpersonal relationship, to value one another. I know when I speak the banker language, oh, she feels connected. It's great. There's, we've got good stuff going on in the relationship. I'll say an idea, and I just might be throwing something, hey, what if we do this, we can do this, we can do this. And sometimes before that balloon of that idea is even 2 feet off the ground, she's already shot it down. I'm like, let the thing fly at least 10 feet in the air before you kill it. Yeah. Right? Right? Because you're like, it's change, I don't like it. It's risk, nope. Right? And me, I got lots of relationships, lots of connections, casting vision, building team, running around town, hey, running people all over, whatever. She's like a few relationships deep, close, her peeps. Loyal, right? Her peeps. Right? And so that's just showing you an example from interpersonal relationships. But the banker, justice is the catalyst, right? When something's not fair or right, I can feel my wife's blood pressure rise. That's that banker in her. And I can see her, and she's going to bite her tongue or bite her lip. There's a tendency to have that aloof kind of judgment. That's where a banker will back out. Okay? All right. Well, let's stand up, stretch, take a break, use the restroom if you need to out that way, grab something to eat, drink. We'll come back, dig into some more stuff, and then maybe have some Q&A. Talk about it. You guys got these, you can look and see what each other is. That's kind of fun to see your little name tag stuff there. So.
They're back here on the team. Yes.
Before interacting with Charlie,
We're all a bunch of
Could have shifted by 1 point.
You're away from more
Yeah. It's worse.
Did somebody take the test?
Who are my big girls?
that's
That's why I go after
because
you.
you listen to me.
I'm gonna say, where are my bakers? Those are the people I need. Okay.
Well, you listen to me and you care about me, but you also
I decide
get
for
things
you.
done. You help me get things done.
Yeah.
No, that's funny.
But like,
I guess so.
So I have one.
These are all high. I guess so. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's like,
Yeah. And no surprises.
That's why we do standards. But I'll be upset about the standards and think about how it makes me more
It's not starting. You guys do Right.
Because when you take, it's funny because when you take it seems like the answers are okay. But then we spend a lot of time.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Those questions entirely cool. And it seems so clear to me, like when I'm clicking on it.
Good. Very cool. Cool. That's great.
Like there was always one.
This you?
Yep. And then
Oh,
that one.
yes.
so it says that we're innovator, but we've got a lot of
You're a banker and innovator. Yeah. Yep. Very good. Absolutely. Yep. And that, there's ways they have kind of inside the science of it behind it, how they give it nod and so on. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. You're out connecting with clients and people, and you're interacting with them. Yeah, that's yeah. But it says creative solutions. But that's where sometimes that can come again, in situations of being boss. Right? Okay. Who's got builder or so again, a lot of times your merchant builder stuff, that's why a lot of leadership is given to that. You're leading people, you're leading
Yeah, I know you're like
execution, getting things done. So Yeah, that merchant builder stuff is like, hey, we're gonna cast a vision, an idea, we're gonna go after it, we're gonna get things done, we're gonna get effective, bring this people equal. But yeah, that merchant innovative is creative. Creative, but there is a balance between the intuitive, gut sense, and then also the cognitive thinking and being creative thinkers, innovators. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But it was interesting, fascinating. Again, so you got some well-rounded. Tell me about myself. That's fun stuff, you know. Insightful, learn about yourself, think about others. Yeah. But again, you know, started something. It's not right. Which that may be more in the older, more stable companies, like a lot of your bankers like the PUD. Long-term stability, conservation, steady, old, you know, like tried and true. You got your new startup company. Oh, you got a little banker, yeah. It's entrepreneurial, it's startup, it's creative. I'm looking around the room, younger, some youth. I mean, you know what I mean, in terms of not a ton of gray hair. Through the internet. So it's kind of like, well, makes sense.
I know, Eric's like, I can't decide.
Yep, which yeah, and I'll talk about the 18 is the median number. We'll get into the scores a little bit. We'll talk about what those mean, how those relate. So. Yeah. And what I like about this tool is it's memorable in the sense that like those you can get your hands and head around before you know values. It's easier to remember. Some of the Myers-Briggs and the Enneagram stuff, it's more complex. Disc is good. I've done that. That's also very memorable. But again, these guys, you know, the CVI kind of boasts more accurate and a little bit more depth, another layer to it. I feel like than what I've gotten into with the disc, because it wasn't helpful. I'll talk about it next time. It wasn't helpful for me just to think of like introvert, extrovert. It's actually more helpful for me to think like intuitive, cognitive, creative, practical. Yes. Absolutely. So that's what it's like. Merchant isn't necessarily just extrovert. That's what I like about it. It's like it's given me insights unique amongst any other these other things that I've done that I go against. That is what I feel I am functioning. You know, that what I feel internally is better than any of the others, right? Or I'm like, yes, because I don't. Yeah. So when you add up the combination of this and this, your merchant banker score, but they're very, they're community score, and your user innovator score, independent score. So you're actually, you know, in the community, and then I 36. Balance between the two, which makes sense. So you function with gut head. You shift in and out of those really right in terms of you can flow with either. So you can work well with people that are your intuitive leader types and or your cognitive, right? You can totally engage. Yeah, it's great. So that helped me because I actually recharge a lot. I need my low cortex deeper. And then I get out front, I get the people, I need that too, but I'm not just your people person, out front person. I actually really build or innovative time on getting things done, getting things done. You have that personal space to create, design something, or build, write something, content development. And so that was super insightful for me to go, okay, I'm independent. That explains me. I feel that, you know, and that's helpful. So, yeah. No, that's a good thing. I love it. Really, yeah. So the next thing you have the same story. But the reality is you didn't actually click on the exact same word right to get that.
Well, like work.
No. In the utility guys, right? You can shift into these different energies.
I do that. Put two words together.
Sean, nice to meet you.
That's why you're making that's what's the that's why it's great because they check and balance each other. Because if they didn't,
No, this is actually more Abraham.
that's why
So, like, the self-actualization kind of in terms of motivation, innate, unchanging nature, or consider like when we talk about inner bent. So this is kind of more based off of social science, like the hierarchy of needs. Yeah.
so I show up.
But that's where this kind of basis is.
Sweatpants and a really baggy sweatshirt.
We all remember this guy showed up in the tweet and we're like, whoa, okay. Like, these guys
I was like interview, like I was like one of my first major interviews I've ever had. Like what do I do? Like
And that's some of the uniqueness and differences of the tools and tests. If it gives you a situation, right, then it's more like adaptive behavior or personality. Whereas what these guys are saying is more innate, unchanging, inner. And so the collective positive values without context for a situation gets. And they claim that there is both conscious and subconscious reason why you gravitate towards a particular value. You know, social science kind of studying human beings. But it functions like being part of humans before the doing. Who we are, that then gives rise to what we do. And there's depth to talk about the ways, different things that work us one together. So that's where environment. Right, so we have nature, nurture, and other kinds of discussions, right? It's like, what kind of parenting or different experiences, your values and so on. But there's that more inner thing, and then these external factors kind of influence it. That you're trying to get at that one. Yeah, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
I was like, we can use both of these guys.
Well, what happened was it wasn't a spot.
All right, hey, let me give us kind of your 1 minute warning. 1 minute warning, and we'll come back. So use the restroom if you need to, fill up a glass or whatever you got to do, and then we'll jump in a little more here before we wrap it up for today. Thank you.
That doesn't make any difference. Like, when you go back, we thought about this.
I had to clarify this to Eric this morning. See that? And he said, we anticipated it will take more than 2 hours. And she was like, and I was like, I think Wendy means no more than 2 hours. Very small word, no.
My designer
Given a situation,
emails, I just lob it out there and they take it.
take it
what we
through
do
this.
for skeleton.
Yep.
And that
Do
might
that.
help determine the nod between
And
the
then
innovator
and then we take it and we do this.
who can identify really clearly what you would do in a particular situation versus what you want to do, what you value. So, hey, we're gonna
So I found my
we're gonna go to internet. So what do you do?
They're all the back
Right.
corner.
Builder would answer that question one way, innovator would answer that question one way, banker answer right. Turns out internal bent of how you approach a situation. So I haven't gotten too far into the nitty-gritty internal science of the differences between those two, like vibrators and how they do that. How
they're
to deal with
building
those
through
particular
the class.
words and stuff like that.
It was like, wow.
Again, year to year, that's that accuracy reset thing of when you show really applying to people.
I showed Charlie.
So that's focused. Yes.
I did not know that. I have heard rumors. You'll have to kind of enlighten me someday.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that. We'll get into it. Yep. Okay, let's grab our seat. I'm gonna jump in here and get a little more.
Yeah, I can see you.
Fun, yeah, good. Good. Okay. I got to talk. My dial's filled up again. Love meters high. Got to talk. I got to learn things. Okay. So, again, just kind of quick little, again, I kind of give you that horseshoe way in terms of how to talk or think about these. It's just helpful in terms of continuity, consistency when I train on this or teach on this. So your builders, again, that's high risk. Merchants, moderate risk. Innovators, low risk. Bankers, no risk. Builder is purely overt and purely intuitive. Okay, so in terms of a degree of concentration between builder and merchant on the intuitive stuff, your builder is going to be that pure intuitive, whereas that merchant is going to be mostly intuitive or mostly overt. Okay, so purely, mostly. Okay, the innovator, low risk, mostly covert, mostly cognitive, whereas that banker's purely covert, purely cognitive. Okay, so in terms of like on the cognitive spectrum, there's a little bit more, this is a little bit higher intensity or degree, right, of that cognition with the banker over the innovator, and a little bit more of that concentration of just that purely intuitive sense in the builder, okay, over those. You still there. Now let's talk for a minute about the scores. I guess we can do that one there. These are mine. It's not the exact graph. We'll go to the one that you got there. And we'll look at this, by the way. If it scares some of you, sorry, but some of you geek out and I'm like, what's that about, the graphs? So we'll talk about that a little bit. Well, okay, let's just talk about the scores. Okay, so your highest, your primary core value. Everyone's got that kind of primary core value is your highest score. The median balanced middle one is 18, right? So we actually I've over 1,500, I think, people now. I've taken it, the community I'm a part of, and we've had, I think, one that was 18, 18, 18, 18. Which does happen. It's rare, but it does happen. Okay, and there's some of you that have a very, very close to that, 19, 17, 18, 17, or well, like right close to that 18. So that 18 number is kind of that median score. And by the way, so you're, a great utility player, all-purpose. You can kind of flow and shift and bring to the table whatever's lacking or needed, maybe. So that's one way to kind of think about that. But there are ways to actually zero in on that with more like personal coaching consultation in terms of like how you would respond in a given situation. So we give you a scenario. Hey, we're going to go backpacking in the Alps in 2 weeks. What do you do next? What's your first step? You're like, sweet, go. Right? And kind of how you think through that situation or scenario might give more insight into which of those four maybe you have an internal kind of tendency toward. Okay, but 18 is the median, all right? So anything, let me see, anything, anything 20 or above is strong in terms of its presence. 20 is like, okay, that's some juice. Anything 25 or higher is profound. You're profound. In other words, any difference of 3 is an order of magnitude. So for me, you look at that, you go 27, 21, right? There's 6 number difference. So 27, like, and that doesn't mean like, oh, I'm so profound. No, I mean, it's just like, that's the juice, right? That capacity, the concentration of kind of the juice of that merch is at 27. It would be in that higher, 25 or higher, okay, is high. 21 is still strong, right? But that's a 6 difference between them, which is 2 orders of magnitude. So you think like the difference between a 6.0 and an 8.0 earthquake. Big difference, right? In terms of the juice, right? That's generated, the power, the capacity. Okay? So any difference of 3 is an order of magnitude. How you get your intuitive score, see that's 48, is the adding up your merchant and builder score gives you your intuitive score. Your innovator banker score gives you your combined cognitive score. Okay? Y'all see that? Okay? Again, you add up your merchant and innovator, that's going to give you your creative score. The 2 numbers there. 27, 15, add up to 42. Your builder and banker is going to give you your practical score. And then you add the diagonals, same thing, that gives you your independent, your community. Now here's why, just personal testimony, kind of why this was really insightful for me personally. I'd taken the DISC, and I'd taken the Myers-Briggs, and the extrovert, introvert categories. That wasn't always as helpful for me because I come across, I'm extroverted. Yeah, right? When I'm in a room and in people, totally extroverted. I actually need alone time to recharge. And I'm the people like, I think I'm a little introverted. People like, who know me, like, no way. But I took this particular test and tool, and because of the different categories that it uses, notice my independent and my community are both 36. They're both 36, which I go, yeah. So in other words, I get in a room with people, and I get that community, and I get that thing, but like I get 21 and 15, the combination of that, like I actually really enjoy getting alone in my home office, drilling down, chunking things out, cranking out, getting my inbox to 0, innovating something that is not thinking about something I study. I create some content, I'm content creating, I love that thinking space, creative, and like chunking it out. And I'm like, oh, it's a great day. But then I get out, and so it's kind of like I can thrive in both, but I kind of need both. And like, of all the other tests and tools I've taken, this one gave me that affirmation, or that insight to go, yeah, okay, that makes sense. That fulfills me, right? And by the way, just because you have high merchant doesn't mean that you're necessarily come across always as extroverted, okay? Again, you're intuitive, you're creative. But there are different situations where that might get expressed differently. So I've appreciated the depth in this the more I've used it, worked with it, got into it, okay? So that's how you arrive at those scores, okay? Yeah?
Do you know what the thresholds are for weak and strong on the tertiary things? So intuitive or cognitive or community
Yes,
independent?
let me, I've got that, let me pull this up here real quick. Got that, the other, okay, so 25 and above is profound. Actually, 19 to 25 is solid or strong. Okay. 12 to 18, it requires some effort, but you can access that and function with that, right? So for me, again, I have to be conscious to shift into innovator. I can totally flow in that innovator space, but it's a concerted effort. Okay? Whereas the 1 to 11, right? So for me, my banker 9 it's essentially not available to you. Which is why I married a high banker. I need it. I didn't even know I needed it. By the way, this stuff, right? Conscious, subconscious. And someone was asking me, kind of, what's the social science that is built on underneath it? It's really kind of built on the Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs, right? That's the kind of inner bent. What's your inner bent? This unchanging, innate, real nature. Okay, now, so think nature versus nurture, right? Now, there are ways in which our environment, our upbringing, our family relationships can warp that one way or another. So we can be warped toward or away from but there's something there, right, that's in you. So you can have siblings out of the same home who seem like they have the same experience or whatever, and they end up pursuing maybe very different, you know, paths or courses or whatnot, right? Because there's just something unique about every human being. So this tool is really function off of off the being aspect of humanity, before it's really about the doing aspect of humanity. Okay, human beings. Who are we? That inner kind of bent and design versus the human doing. But again, there are adaptability, ways we adapt, personas that we want to be perceived certain ways. So other tools really measure more of that kind of personality or behavioral or adapted style of relating. Okay, and so that's at least, you know, again, some into the kind of the social science of it, of how it was built. Does that make sense? Or just for what it's worth? Okay, so. So what's up with this, right? If you have that first page of your scores, you got your, you know, got a number by each of the 4 core values. You add those up. So what this is, okay, you have the actual score and what they call the weighted energy preference. Now the actual score, notice, goes up to 72 because that's how many different sets of words or the questions that you chose. Again, positive values. Notice the questions are not written situational. There's no context given. They're all positive, strategic, tactical value words, and you selected them. Again, their kind of theory underneath this is that there are conscious and subconscious reasons why you gravitate towards certain words, and you value that. There's something that's satisfying or fulfilling about that. It's why you selected the words you did, right? And so the actual score is based off of the ones you clicked on. But what's more helpful to look at is the weighted energy graph, those bars, the solid bars, not the bars with the lines in them. Because that's been based off of put it to a scale of 100, thinking like percentage, okay? Let me show you what I mean by this. So you'll see here on the left side of this, the first 4 sets, either 2 red, 2 blue, 2 purple, 2 green. Just draw a line in your mind there after the green one, okay? Those are the 4 core values. See that? Builder, merchant, innovator, banker. The squiggly line thing, right, is your actual score. For me, 27, 21, 15, 9. But notice when you base that off of, again, the weighted energy, that what's the primary, you know, based off a percentage of time, what do I bring? So the 27, 21, you look at that and you go, oh, those are both in the 20s, that's close. But look at the weighted energy graph. 76% merchant, 19% builder. Now do you see that order of magnitude show up? The weighted energy based off of, that's only a 6-point difference, but actually it's a significant difference in terms of what I bring to the table, just intuitively, naturally. My default mode, I'm 76% of the time, you're getting merchant from Adam. 19% of the time, you're getting builder. Okay, and then look at the 15 and 9 were my actual score, but it's 4%, look at 1%. It's amazing I can pay my bills, you know what I mean? Aaron, thank you, my wife, yes, totally. Okay, so then in these 4, the percentages should add up to 100 because of those core values. So you got 76 and 19, 4 and 1. So 76 and 20 is 96 minus the 1, 95. See how I do math? And then 4 and 1 is 5, 95 and 5 is 100. Hey, you bankers proud of me? All right, so adds up to 100. You see that? Those 4 of the core values. Now, from the yellow over, these are the 6 contribution types scores. Remember how we got those? We added up the 2 that gives you your intuitive, cognitive, creative, practical, independent, community. And when you add up the 6 weighted scores, that should add up to 100. Okay? So you can see, I function primarily intuitive. Makes sense because my most profound core value is merchant. That's up in that intuitive space. And my builder is my second highest. So I function intuitively. I function from the gut. Which is why I have an administrative assistant in my line of work who's a high innovator banker, because she brings the cognitive stuff. Somebody actually thinks about things around here. And I need that, right? Because I'll make decisions on the fly, read the room, know what people, I got a vision, I got an idea, I want to get things done, boom, 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 boom. I'm going, right? But I'm firing from the gut. She's actually helping build systems and processes and capturing the data and information and writing down. Like, why I did what I did and why it worked, I don't know. That worked great. Like, I don't have notes or presentation. It's just like I'm teaching this, training this enough now. It's like I've never done it the same way twice, right? But like somebody's, oh, it was good when you did that. Good. Someone write it down and make it, you know, give me some notes or whatever. Great. But I'm not going to stop and take the time to do that a lot. But I got an assistant that's helping me do that. Systems, processes, that kind of thing. Because I'm intuitive and creative, primarily. And those are the higher percentages of what my contribution is going to be. And then notice the community independent, 9-9, practical 6, cognitive 3. Doesn't mean I don't have a brain. It means I function in the gut. But that's also very helpful because in certain situations, you got to make an effort or get people around you or listen to other perspectives. To be more well-rounded person, understand, you know, your weaknesses and that kind of thing. Okay? Any questions on this? About your scores? About the core values? About the contribution types?
Yeah, the second half, it's really interesting because I'm 23 merchant, 20 banker, so both are considered strong. But when you get on the right side, the intuitive side, oh, I guess it's my lack of innovator that's dragging my strength in banking down. Because when it says like the weighted energy preference, it says it's only 8%, but 34 questions cited with that. So even though the cognitive was super high, it's telling me I should put it.
So notice, Charlie started talking before he actually stopped and read all the actual numbers of the right? Kind of yeah. So the way to look at that is to compare. See, what he's saying here is so your cognitive and your creative score, right? Your intuitive. Notice your intuitive answers combination scores were actually higher than your cognitive by 4. So we have 38 for intuitive and 34 for cognitive. So that's, yeah, you think that's both up there, right? But your percentages, the intuitive is 23%, the cognitive is 8. Meaning that 4 difference in the actual score is actually more weighted towards intuitive.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Those are the two to compare, right? You kind of compare the intuitive and the cognitive. And then you look at the practical versus the creative side by side. And then you look at the independent, right? So you look at the ones on the same axis to kind of compare and contrast. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's great. So again, what were your 23? So this is Charlie, okay? 23 merchant, 20 banker, 15 builder, 14 innovator. So you have access to all 4. But you're much stronger on the community stuff.
Yeah. That was
right? The merchant and the banker, right? And so, yeah, more community than independent, slightly more intuitive than cognitive, but you function with that more. And your practical and creative are really, really similar in terms of your contributions, right? Now, what's interesting about merchant banker, okay, and others of you may have if you've got high scores in both the merchant and the banker. Again, what's interesting about this, let me go to, which I don't have that problem, by the way. But when you have that, right, you have both long-term vision in relationships, and long-term results. So here's what's interesting. You can actually come into conflict within yourself.
Yep. Yes.
Sometimes high merchant banker combination can feel like a dual personality at certain times and certain days.
Oh,
Don't freak out. But if your wife were here, I might get some amens from her somewhere along the way. I don't know.
I'll give you the amen.
Okay, you'll give it. In the sense that, right, merchants are creative and intuitive in that upper quadrant, right? So a dreamer and moderate risk, right? But the banker in you is hesitant and likes stability and consistency and order and organization, whereas the dreamer, the merchant in you wants to run to the hills, but the banker in you wants to, you know, have all the ducks in a row.
So we pout and don't try.
You So see, that's what's fun, right? When you actually look at people, you guys know each other, who you work with, right? So it's fun to kind of break that down and talk through. And so, the laughter tells me something, right? And that's Charlie. But it's good to be known, right?
Yeah.
And you can see how that would make you more effective working with Charlie, and Charlie understanding how you engage, knowing that about yourself, right? You can bring a better game on a given day, right? Just that's helpful knowledge, right? That's self-knowledge. Good. Anyone else want to volunteer? Their scores or have a question about how this works in your situation? Jeremiah, yeah.
Yeah, so I got a merchant score of 81%.
Okay.
Builder score of 1%, and innovator and banker scores are 9% each. But my merchant score on my chart is only, it says 25, and then it's 18 because my innovator and banker are balanced.
Yeah.
It seems like my merchant score should be higher than 25 if it's 81%. But
25 is profound.
I know it's profound. It just seems
That's a lot of juice.
Yeah, well, energy.
Yeah. Let me
Like,
see it. Take a look.
And then when it gets over to the cognitive, creative, and all of that, like, I have some extremely low scores on one side.
So your builder's your lowest.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
But your merchants highest, and you got, like I say, innovator, banker are both 18, right?
Right.
Which is
even though they're only like, if you look at
Present,
the other
looking
side
at-
of it, there's like
yep.
I didn't.
Yes. So you're 81% merchant, meaning like 80% of the time are you functioning with your nurturing core values of others, relational vision, that's the contribution, that's the creative, intuitive stuff that you're bringing. That's where you've circled. So your intuitive and cognitive are actually, of that intuitive creative, it's more of the creative and the community aspects of the merchant that you grab.
Even
Okay.
though they're showing them as balanced.
Right. So in other words, so those of us who can't see this here, we can, pull it up. But your creative on the, so again, looking at these ones over here, this
Right.
creative
Actual
one
scores are
for
different.
Jeremiah is 34%, and your community one is 34%. So again, when you think of a merchant, okay, remember it's intuitive, creative, and community. Those are the three of the axes, right, that affect the merchant. And of those three, what this is saying is that it's not so much the intuitive weight of the merchant that you're functioning, contributing, bringing to the table, the energy, your presence. It's a balance really between the community and creative. Okay, does that make sense?
Right.
Put down there. So yeah. So again, you're 25 score merchant, but you are grabbing that. Putting that on that's what's out in front the most. Which also, by the way, on that weighted percentage when you look at that, that means that we'll talk a little bit more about the conflict side of this stuff, or the dark side of this stuff, right? That's saying that that is likely where you go in anxiety, fear, and conflict as well. You're really going to be, that's probably present as well, right? That's what will show up in those situations, okay? Because it's such a high percentage, like you're going to work from either side of that.
Right. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. No. So there's like the positive contribution side. I'm giving. I'm bringing. The dimmer switch is up, right? That love's coming. But when there's anxiety, when there's fear, if you're not real with Jeremiah, right? You're not shooting straight with him. But that's great, right? As a high merchant, when he's doing. I mean, he's been up in here helping us with our computer stuff or whatever. I wasn't surprised to see that score because you engage with people very well. You're in terms of how you interact with clients and customers, they probably feel very loved, very cared for, great customer service, happy, connecting, engaging with them, right? And so that's going to build a positive relationship with those clients and customers that you're working with, right? And that's that merchant stuff, right? And that's where that can be strong in terms of areas of sales and customer service and care and team building, making people feel valued and heard, understood. And just the very little few times I've interacted with you, like I totally get that sense of energy and presence that you bring to the interactions, even just the few that we've had, or whatever that's worth, right? So I don't know, and those of you that know Jeremiah might be able to say, yeah, that works, that's true. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Cool. Any other questions? We'll talk a little bit more about the conflict side. And then Jeff, if you got anything that you're thinking of too, want to drill in on any one specific that I haven't, given enough time to or whatnot, or
Yeah, you're doing awesome. Really awesome.
So I just wanted to address time. So I just wanted to give you license. Does anybody have hard appointments between like 12 and 1? Like schedule 1? I knew you would want. Yeah. So one, you could just go. I would just say keep rolling. I mean, because we have till 1. Lunch is probably going to be between 12:15 and 1, something like that, 12:30 and 1. So I'm just saying, yeah, keep trucking. And anybody, if you guys need to go, just go.
Because I can land, I mean, at this point, it's just kind of gotten the baseline, you've gotten a brief kind of introduction, foundation of the 4 values, the 6 contributions. I can hit a little bit more of the conflict side, and then really we can land the plane anytime. And then I love to hang around and chop it up with people and take a look at your individual scores and answer questions and talk about strengths, tendencies, weaknesses, any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'd say for sure you're good to go to like 12:15. If you want to land it between now and then, that's fine, but we can maybe make that our hard stop.
Great. Cool. Okay. Let me go to. Let's talk a little bit more about the dark side. Okay. Yep. So again, the when that catalyst is present, we're contributing, positive, giving. When it's not, we shift into the taking, right? We're trying to kind of, compensate, right, to get it back, okay? So let's talk about builders. Again, catalyst is faith. Conflict strategy is to intimidate. In other words, when we are pushed, okay, when stress, crunch time, push, conflict, differences, disagreements, right? When pushed, a builder, like I said, is going to shout. So here's some of the negative traits for a builder. Builders can be pushy, angry, frustrated, gruff, always right, inconsiderate, overbearing, arrogant, or bossy. Sorry. Right? That's some of the ways. So when pushed, the builder can shout, can get angry, can change their mind, ridicule, intimidate, bluster, stomp out, command, right? And just get into like command mode, attack, make you wrong, shame you, point the finger, blow up friendships. We overpower you. That's the builder, okay? So again, on the conflict right now, again, the greatest fear in a internal value of a builder or the greatest value is power. Right? Get things done. Positive contribution to move the ball forward. The greatest fear is the loss of power. Right? Weakness, vulnerability, inability to get things done. And that's when that compensation shifts into that dark side. You're trying to make it happen, trying to overpower, trying to force power back into the room, get the power back in the situation. And a builder will do that overtly. And that's where command, shout, stomp out, yell, I'm right, even if they're shown with facts from a banker to be wrong. They're still not wrong, they're still right. Okay? So the potential for conflict, and again, you can read, and I encourage you to do that. Go back and read through. They send you a lot of stuff, by the way, and you get some emails from the UREP company or whatever, and you do with those what you want. But there's actually little nuggets to pull out of those. And as you read in that more of terms of the combination of whatever your primary and secondary is, you'll get more specific insights into areas of conflict and how these interrelate with each other, right? So the potential for conflict from a builder to a merchant, right? If you're a high merchant, there's the potential, again, you got long-term vision, intuitive, creative. You're gonna be talking, and builders like, we gotta get stuff done. Time to move forward. That short-term action, that long-term vision, that can be a reason for some of the friction or conflict. Between a builder and a banker, again, you got short-term results. Whereas a builder or a banker's playing the long game. Builder's playing the short game. Banker's playing the long game. Potential for friction or conflict there, right? Because there's different, somewhat, competing values coming to the table. But that builder is gonna, when pushed, gonna overpower you. Okay? Merchant. Okay? Negative traits of a merchant. Merchants can be forgetful, flighty, inconsistent, pouty, flippant, manipulative, exaggerating. Those ones I mentioned, exaggeration, manipulation. Unfounded, impulsive. Okay? When we are pushed, a merchant can whine, give up, cajole, change the subject, talk about the future. Right? Not the present, what's getting done, but want to get back about the future, dreaming. Okay? Talk about the future. Judge you to be beneath us. Discount what you say. Attack, manipulate, exaggerate, sell, sell, sell. Right? A merchant just keeps selling. Hey, like I'm not, they'll just keep selling. When they're pushed, like, oh, but they keep talking. They're going to keep trying to sell you on an idea or a vision. Okay? And it's when there's anxiety or fear there. Complain. And this is so me, by the way, right? High merchant, this stuff, I'm like, look innocent, throw our hands up, like, what? Like, what? Not me. Like, look innocent, throw up our hands, cling to anyone, we win you over. Builder, overpower you, we win you over. Want to get the love back. Well, so whine, complain, tell my sob story of why I didn't freaking get it done on time. Right? I want you to like me. So that's the pout. Right? When we push the merchant, pout. Right? One, because it kind of gets that, But so that's where merchants tend to be great starters, but not so great finishers. Okay? Merchants typically as well only need about 30% of the information before they're ready to make a decision. Right? I get it, got it. Because I traffic with that vision, I love it,
To a banker, that's hilarious.
Okay? Yeah, totally. It's like, man, yeah, because the banker's like that, or it's hilarious, or it's like foolish, stupid. Or like, right? It's like, hold on.
I'm telling that to myself.
Let's get all the info, right? Yeah, and I mean, that's
Why
why.
did you think that, you idiot? Why are you talking to yourself? Because you're my only friend.
This is good. What was your score? Aaron was like, I got 22 banker, 21 innovator, 18 merchant, and 11 builder. Yeah. So yeah, banker, innovator. Well, you got that merchant stuff there. So yeah, that banker. So quality control, details, read, analyze. What's your job or role?
I stick my finger in the dike.
Okay. Problem solve. Which works, right? Get that innovator. Solution, problem solve, details.
Yeah.
Schedules. Okay. Okay, so innovators. Let's talk about innovators. Again, negative traits. Innovators can go stubborn. You come across distracted, disconnected, uncooperative, one-track mind, indecisive, protected, cool, unresponsive. Okay, so when we are pushed, innovators, they reroute, right? Get stubborn, recompute. I love this one. This is great. Try to confuse you with the facts. Complicate your life. Withhold feelings. Reconsider. Shut down. Slow you down. Deny facts that don't fit our solutions. And, an innovator can quit. Okay? The reroute. Reconsider. Right? Again, the tendency to go towards complexity. That's an innovator is going to tend to take things into more and more complexity, which is what can lead to that indecisiveness. It's not quite done, not quite ready. Go, don't go, don't go. Hang on, right? And they're polishing something. It's all right, man. It's like you got that way past 220 grit. That's we're good, right? But now they're going to take it the next level down, still polishing that thing, right? And it's time to decide and move on to the next thing. Right? It's time to move forward with that. But when pushed, you get stubborn, shut down, I'm going to go back over it. Okay? In the cognitive stuff. Okay? So, banker. I shouldn't have ended with this, like ending on the downer, you know what I mean? So, negative traits of a banker. They can come across cold, unmoving, always right. Again, that judgmental, myopic, indecisive, withholding, reticent. So when pushed, a banker will back out, They'll play, this is interesting, they will play victim or judge. You can go either way, be the victim or the judge. The situation, they'll talk about the past. Those right, merchants talk about the future. Maybe they'll talk about the past. They'll promise, they'll pretend capitulation. They'll say, no, no, no. Again, we push this, it's easiest. That's the back out thing. Like, no, 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 it's easy to just shut down, take no risks, make the decision. I'm backing out. I'm not playing the game, right? They can reorganize, reanalyze, politic. Banker can also be passive-aggressive, undermine, criticize, judge our own imperfection. And for the banker, when pushed, we outlast you. Okay, we outlast you. That's where that banker can go. Okay. So, any questions on the negative, dark side of us? Is that, and so again, here's another way to think about this. As you read through this, you look at that, you hear that, and again, like what sticks, right? You know what I mean? Like not everything about that is true about everyone. If that's, you know, not every one of those maybe your gig, but something in that ballpark, right? What is it that sticks? And it's a great way again of letting others speak into your life who know you, who work with you, who are around you. And that's a part of that learning, right? The self-awareness and the growth, the ways we can help each other be aware of that. So then we can be a better contributor in situations as we learn, oh yeah, I do have a tendency to do that. Avoid these situations or react in these ways in these situations. Knowing that about yourself is a very empowering thing to help you be more successful in your relationships and in your projects and in your contributions, okay? And then when that's very, and this gives you, again, language handles to use. I found this one to be actually, the more I've talked and used it, it's memorable in the sense, right? The builder, merchant, innovator, banker, like, okay, I got, you know. At first, you're kind of like, who uses the word merchant anymore today? You know, I was like, oh, you know, some of these words are like, because it's reaching back to the ways, again, that in ancient cultures, societies, how society began to form and be built up. These primary business types and social contributions came. But the more I work with and use it, I'm like, man, this is so helpful. Right? It becomes memorable, sticky. It's got a stickiness to it that I appreciate. Okay, any other questions about your specific scores maybe, or about ways some of these interact with each other, or how, you know, what to do with combinations? I love doing that kind of stuff. So any other volunteers of like, hey, explain this, or what would this look like with these kinds of scores? Anybody else got something like that? Yeah? Okay, yeah, here, I love it. Bring that up. Okay, what's your name here? Oleg. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you got a 22 merchant, 20 innovator, and then 15 and 15 on builder and banker. So you are slightly more intuitive than cognitive. Again, these are just in terms of your actual results and scores. A tick higher on intuitive. Definitely more creative than practical in terms of that merchant innovator score. And your community, so again, pretty well-rounded. You look at the score, you know, not like skewed, not a diamond, right? More square than diamond, but tilted a little bit to the creative and just slightly to the independent. So when you look at your percentages there, what's interesting though, the 22-20, that's a 2-point difference, so not quite the magnitude, but percentage-wise, 47% based out of the 100 merchant, 35% innovator, and then 9 and 9 banker builder, which again fits 15-15. So you have access to those, but you're much more in that merchant innovator. So again, you're going to be creative, intuitive, problem solving, work well with others, or the capacity for that in terms of nurturing others and engaging with others, the community and independent thing. On the right ones of the 6 ones, you are creative, 32%. And then 22 and 22, community and intuitive. Okay? And then your cognitive and independent are lower. So let me ask you, what has seemed to ring true for you? What have you heard here that go, that feels like me, that hits home? What's that? Creative? Yeah? Mm-hmm. Good. And do you have any other questions about that? No? Yeah. Who works with Oleg? Or has like all, yeah? Okay. So there'd be things there. So, but what this tells me is like that you can kind of access those. You're much more going to be pulling from the creative stuff, that merchant innovator, but you have access still to that banker builder stuff. Okay. So good. Thanks. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. What about someone that's super even all the way around? This is Will.
Yeah.
He told me he could. So I'm just kind of curious. Do you like the
I am perfect. So no, I mean, so you're well-rounded. Again, it's kind of like a utility guy, right? And that you can shift in, you can provide. I like to look at it like whatever's needed. Chameleon, not in a way that you're not being true to yourself, whatever, but you can kind of become whatever's needed in that situation, right? So, and again, those that you know or work with Will, he can kind of, he can adapt in that sense and like function. He's kind of, so he's maybe a sense of contentedness, of like pretty happy with whatever I get to do, it's great. Some things, obviously, again, you're going to warp toward different passions and likes and those kinds of things. But what that's saying is that you have the capacity. There's a sense of you're a balanced person when it comes to accessing these different energies, right? And so I'd have to look into maybe the percentages again. That's where that next layer down, when you look at the graph side of it, you know, to look see what, and even one of them I thought was just like, it was the same thing. It kind of, which then sometimes you got to have a follow-up, more kind of one-on-one coaching session, consultation session. Again, give a scenario, and then ask what would you do? What would you do first? What would you do next? To kind of get a sense for like how they would engage in a different situation. And go, okay, so in that situation, you functioned more like you went for kind of a merchant thing or a banker thing, or you know, kind of grab that capacity or energy in that situation. But yeah, it's kind of like utility guy. Again, 18 is median. That's solid. That's there, so you kind of can reach in, tool bag, if you will, and grab whatever's needed in that situation and contribute to the team. So they're great, right? It's just that utility, jack of all trades kind of, yeah, can flow on that. Is this yours? Denton? Yeah. So I was looking at this with Jeff's and Corey's.
Jeff, do you have yours?
And Denton.
So this is actually quite interesting.
So Denton here is 25 innovator, which again is profound. This is you, Jeff? So so here I should well, yeah. You want everyone me to write these down?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, we need Corey's too.
so here's Denton, 25, 20, 17, 10, and that's innovator, builder, merchant, banker. Okay? And Jeff here is 28. 28. Yeah. Everyone's pray for Becky. No, I'm kidding. All right.
She's like, amen.
18.
She's the perfect counterpart.
16, yeah. So this is builder. Okay, and the 18 innovator. 16 banker. And 10 merchant. Okay? And then Corey.
Yes, I could already see the graph. Show the picture.
24, 21, 27, merchant, builder, innovator, banker. Okay? So Corey, okay? So let me look, you know, those scores, all the 20s, right? Banker. Denton up here, 25, 20, you know, 17. And Jeff's got this real strong high on the builder. And then, you know, secondarily he's got the innovator and banker. And some of that banker, like you said, may have been acquired over years of business and right, leading successful businesses that are around still. Keep going. So, but this was interesting. Watch this. Now, a little insight into this as I look at these three, okay? Kind of your primary leader, owner types. I don't know all your roles and how that works, but I know you guys are like leaders, right, of these businesses, these companies, okay? Someone said, okay, interesting. So notice, what's the lowest? Banker. Between the three of them? Yeah, banker. But notice they've got a high builder in Jeff, who's primary, like builder, like execute, move the ball forward, get things done, practical, but intuitive. 28, and that's profound, right? Order of magnitude, that's a lot of juice. Denton, 25 innovator, that's profound in terms of assessing, solving systems, processes, okay? And I don't know Denton as well, but like, you know, it'd be fun to dig into these, to have more conversations, but with 20 builder, right? So innovator, builder, and notice Jeff's builder, innovator, what that tells me, these guys can both function independently and get a lot of stuff done, right? But notice how they balance one another in terms of comparing those two guys and what they bring to the table. High builder, high innovator, high merchant, right? And so you got a company being built, it's growing, it's moving forward, you're hiring employees, you're designing stuff and solving problems and designing things and building things, and you're selling stuff, right? You're selling and you're opening up. Now, interesting, why the low banker? Well, you're kind of startup companies, right? I don't know how old these companies are, but this is entrepreneurial, young, startup, creative, solution-oriented, right? The bankers are working for the PUD. Right? I mean, not right, again, I don't want to overgeneralize, but in the sense of like stable, secure, long-term, right? And so, not that a banker couldn't work for, entrepreneurial startup thing, but that's not going to maybe be where they feel safest, right? But obviously to sustain, to get to those next levels, to make it 10 years in, to make it 20 years in, you've got to learn how to get that banker, you got to manage those dollars and those resources, and it's got to pencil out. You've got to make it work. But that's going to take intentional, conscious effort. Keep looking at that. Don't forget to stop and drill down. And so I don't know what kind of other outside support you've got. Your CPAs, your bank, when you're working with loans and numbers, and you're getting that. You're going to outsource that. You're going to bring that in terms of consultant maybe, or just others that you're going to get counsel from as you move forward. Make sure that it pencils out. You work with accountants. You're going to work with bankers and that kind of thing. But there'll be some frustrations there potentially as builders and innovators when it comes to some of that at times. But again, it's not uncommon to see this, right, in a company that's upstart, it's growing, it's going. There's intuitively been this well-rounded kind of leadership perspective, these different energies and capacities and contributions at the top, and that's going to help shape the culture as well. Okay, and so Denton, as I mean, look at your energy. So 72% innovator and 20% builder. Again, so as you think through when I was describing those characteristics of the innovator, right? A few of those may have hit home for you. I felt like that landed in terms of both the contribution, creative thinker, right? You got ideas, and you're asking more questions of something, and you're designing something, and you're making something great, But the tendency may be towards complexity. And then again, Jeff's builder might balance you out as far as like move the ball forward. Let's go. But you've got that too. You can shift into that and be like, yeah, I want to rock. Let's build companies together, right? Let's design cool stuff and get it done. That's like, well, heck yeah, look at what you've got going on, So, but that also could give you some insight on the potential when it's stressful, when something hits the fan or something's challenging going on in the company, whatnot. Okay, where's the potential for rub? Where's the potential for friction? If we all kind of lock down in our area of strength, we could recognize where that's at. So you guys, in terms of the independent stuff, and Corey's going to bring the community team building stuff to that mix. And so he's going to contribute that, which you guys, again, Jeff's content to try to crank out in his office, to chunk things out. You're content to so being intentional in the collaboration and the team building and doing these kinds of things is probably really potentially beneficial for you guys, helpful. But I mean, also, I will say this, again, not uncommon to see in leaders, people who are leading companies, building companies, or even at middle management levels of like leading departments, leading teams, right? You're going to have some of those higher scores, those 20s and things. The juice is there, right? There's just some of that oomph. There's some energy in the tank. Gifted guys. That's what that tells me. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, man. So, and I mean, I don't know. Here you guys are working for the company, but as I think about that, I go, hey, that's cool, right? I mean, look at who's helping lead and steer this thing and move forward. And as you observe and watch them, you go, yeah, look at what they're doing and where their sweet spot is, right? And then again, ways that this is helpful company-wide as you look at your departments and your teams, you understand yourself, but that also helps as you think about optimizing your contribution, honoring your team members. Again, feeding that culture that you want to have where there's honor given, understanding, work well together across departments, across different projects and things, and getting into the sweet spot, right? The better you bring to the table, the better that you can be, the better the overall company will be collectively as you work on that. So I hope this has been somewhat insightful and helpful for you, and at the end of the day contributes to your personal fulfillment, satisfaction, and success, as well as the ongoing success of your company. So thanks a bunch. It was great. Cool.
You guys enjoy that?
Yeah.
Super good. Thanks, Alex.
Yep.
Really, really good. Okay, so transition into lunch. Guys, we got sandwiches. We got cupcake blues, salted caramel brownies, which are like my favorite on the planet. So, limit of one. 95.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you want, take a box with you. Make sure you take instructions, and everybody have a happy Friday.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Now you wonder why I like the snapshot meeting. And why that was such a big thing. It's like, it's so funny. I'm realizing that the banker side of me is cheesy. It's not necessarily that.
Gather and go.
That's the biggest reason why I'm a virtual is the biggest reason why I'm a banker. I want to build something together. And that's where when I'm alone in my I wasn't trying to be coy earlier this week. I was like, I see what you're doing with the response. Thank you. Because that was exactly my language. It's cool how this plays out. Because it just gives meat on the bones of like with the whole banker justice thing. I will like fight for my ideal or whatever. But surprisingly, that's so low. Yeah. She's more merchant. And so she's like, you know what, I see what you do in this world, but I don't feel it. You know, that kind of thing. You know, one that she see it today with the kids. And we joke around, it's like, oh, you've lost your personality. Because you get trained so much that you're distant now. You know, it's just kind of funny. She's like, it's funny. She's going, oh, no, I just lost my personality, so it's become like I'm leaving our marriage. And it's like, okay, nothing's wrong. You're just at the drain part of the day where you've lost your personality. You know, that's our joke. You know?
I am a builder merchant. I teach
Yeah, it's so funny. But yeah, specifically like the snapshot, that like the reason why this is like you like in a position and being able to tie it department that doesn't have anyone in it, and I'm a community-driven guy. And so then just, you know, hitting a meeting every couple of weeks brings the community back, and I feel like I have a place to go.
Yeah, I'm not surprised my merchants though. That's what I would expect you to do.
Yeah. And you don't have to get things done. See how things are moving. And you just try to yeah.
Maybe not.
And if you don't get it done, then you flight and you're like getting them out. You don't have to do that. So, which honestly,
Not gonna get
I really think about it. Like, you know, I love it. Like, I want to be